In any case, were I to invoke logic, logic clearly dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
I am a logical man, Doctor.
Well, it'll take more than logic to get us out of this.
Logic is a little tweeting bird chirping in a meadow. Logic is a wreath of pretty flowers which smell bad.
The ears make all of the difference.
I find your arguments strewn with gaping defects in logic.
One does not thank logic, Amanda.
Logic. Logic. I'm sick to death of logic.
But it is very logical.
There's that magic word again. Does your logic find this fascinating, Mr. Spock?
Our logic is to be illogical. That is our advantage. Mr. Spock, it is time. The explosive.
Very well, Captain.
Logic suggests...
Logic? My God, the man's talking about logic. We're talking about universal Armageddon.
Commence primary ignition.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. This is the first episode of the Logic Blaster podcast, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. So this kind of format is somewhat different from the kind of thing that I normally do on my channel, but I think you're going to find this interesting, and I did pick a particular topic which I know is of interest to quite a few people in my audience, which is Adventure Team G.I. Joe. So so strap in. I think this is going to be a fun ride, and we're going to be talking about the reproduction G.I. Joes that I have in my collection, which you can see in the picture here. So there's very few vintage items that I have in my G.I. Joe collection, just a few random pieces. I believe the Sea Adventurer pants are they're vintage, but everything else in this particular collection of G.I. Joes is reproduction. So before we really dig into this, I want to take a moment to thank all the people who subscribed to my channel. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm over 600 subscribers now and still growing very, very fast. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all the attention, and your support is really appreciated. And if you want to continue to support me and you're already subscribed, make sure that when you watch a video, you click the like button. That really helps kind of promote the video, and YouTube kind of recognizes that, and it gets promoted to more and more people. So that's very helpful when you do that. So in terms of the Adventure Team, I had a pretty decent collection growing up, myself and my older brothers. My oldest brother, he had the painted head G.I. Joes, and then the middle brother, he's 3 years older than me, and he collected the Adventure Team along with me. So eventually all of us kind of aged out of it, and the entire collection was sold at a garage sale, unfortunately. So which stinks, because a lot of those pieces were in pretty good condition. So some of the items that we had the helicopter, the ATV, the mobile support vehicle, sample analyzer, equipment tester, deep sea diver gear, and several of the Adventure Team G.I. Joes, as well as one painted head G.I. Joe that was my oldest brother's G.I. Joe. So it was a decent collection, and unfortunately it's all gone now. So but the cool thing is my current G.I. Joe collection is actually much larger than anything I had when I was a kid. And in addition to the ones that I'm going to show you today, I have a lot of other sort of vintage style figures, including a lot of the military style figures from the 40th anniversary G.I. Joe series. So, excuse me. So those G.I. Joes are really fantastic, and I'm very happy to have those in my collection. So in terms of the podcast, I'm hoping to drop these at least once a month. I think the ultimate goal will be to probably do this maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. The next one I'm planning on doing is one for Halloween weekend. It'll either drop probably on the Sunday before Halloween night, or actually on Halloween night. So Halloween, I think, falls on a Monday or something this year. So By the way, you might be able to hear some background noise in this video because I'm going to try not to edit this too much. This is going to be more of a spontaneous kind of thing. And it's the middle of afternoon in Buffalo, New York, so there's a lot of stuff going on that you might hear in the background. So, but I put in some nice music in the background, so hopefully you'll hear that more than anything else. So what I'm going to do in terms of presenting these G.I. Joes to you, I actually shot a video where I go through each of these one by one. So we'll have a little bit of an Inception kind of moment here where I'm watching my own video where it's me talking. But in terms of presenting the stuff, I felt like this was really the best way to do it. I'd actually shot the footage, the video I'm going to show you, sort of thinking, well, if things don't work out in terms of getting the podcast together, I'll still have a decent video which I can actually post on my channel. But in terms of getting everything ready, I was able to make it happen. So I was able to learn how to use the OBS software and actually put together this podcast for you. So without any further delay, let's get into the video. So let's start this up. So here we are looking at the Sea Adventure, and we'll take a look at the box. So this is the one that was released through the G.I. So every once in a while I'm going to pause this so I can interject my thoughts on this, but I'm going to try and let it play through. Again, the narration is there, so I pretty much explain in the video pretty much everything that's going on. So Collectors Club, you can see it says 30 Years of Adventure, and they do a reproduction of the original artwork that was on the front of the original Sea Adventure box. And then on the sides, they got pictures of some of the other sets that were available through the G.I. Joe Collectors Club. So really nice looking box, and this has a lot of nostalgia value for me because I kept the box for my original Sea Adventure for quite a few years. So when I say quite a few years, I mean after my G.I. Joe collection was mostly gone, that Adventure Team box was still hanging around. It had a bunch of little toys and stuff inside of it, and I don't know what eventually happened to that, but I remember seeing it around my parents' cottage. It was pretty beat up looking, but the artwork on the front still looked fantastic. Again, that painting is just amazing that they put on the Sea Adventure box. So really dramatic and just really boldly painted. I know I've mentioned it before on my channel, but I actually worked as a freelance illustrator for quite a few years. I don't do it much anymore, just because it's pretty difficult to make a living doing that unless you strike some luck and actually get super famous all of a sudden. But I had a decent career, mostly doing editorial stuff. Artwork like this on the G.I. Joe boxes, and also comic books and sort of concept art that was done for like the Star Wars movies and stuff like that. All of that stuff was very inspirational for me growing up, and got me very interested in art and eventually pursuing a career as a freelance illustrator. So just a little background. And so this artwork has a lot of sentimental value for me. So I wish I had my original one, but having this reproduction is really fantastic. And we'll take a look at the figure. And as you can see, he's got the flocked hair. So this is the redhead G.I. Joe. And the shirt and so forth is kind of similar to the sailor shirt that was originally issued with the G.I. Joe sailor. The shirt on this guy is also somewhat similar to the one that came with the dress pilot figure. So that underneath his sort of navy blue jacket, there was like a regular sort of light blue shirt. So, and it is kind of tailored similar to this. I think the collar's different though. And then the pants are done in like a plain blue color instead of the sort of a denim-like material on the original sailor. So, and I've added these. These are actually a vintage item. The original pants that came with this figure, I put on another Sea Adventurer and added the white belt as well. So this, I think that white belt is probably 40th anniversary, and I'm not above sort of mixing vintage materials in with reproductions. I know it's frowned upon by some collectors, but if I have vintage items, I want to use them. Like, I don't want to just throw them in a drawer and never use them just because I don't have the complete thing all in vintage. But I know some people would rather have it be all vintage and no reproductions, or all reproduction and no vintage mixed in. But yeah, I mix and match stuff. It's just the way I collect. This one came out with a metal dog tag. The original, I believe, had a plastic dog tag, and comes with the shoulder holster and the pistol. So you can see what the pistol looks like. They did a really good job reproducing this, so I think that looks very cool. So the pistols that come with these from the G.I. Joe Collectors Club have more of a silver sheen on them, whereas the one that's typically the ones that came with the Timeless Collection reproductions were more of just a sort of grayish plastic. So definitely one of my favorites. This was very much like the original G.I. Joe that I had growing up. So my personal G.I. Joe was a sea adventurer. So very happy to have this reproduction. So very cool figure. Okay, next adventure we're going to look at is the Land Adventure. This is another really cool one. And I believe the one that my older brother had was actually a hard hands one. Didn't have the Kung Fu grip. But I remember, I think he had the original box too, which has some really fantastic artwork. I'd love to be able to get either a vintage example of that box or the reproduction. I know the Collectors Club did a reproduction of the Land Adventure, which I missed out on. I sort of got into the club a little bit later. But I did pick up a number of these reproductions that were done with the Kung Fu grip. And we'll take a look at the box art. This box came with one of the Myers exclusive sets, I believe, because this doesn't have a barcode on it, so this was inside of a larger package. So those Myers sets were sold at a store chain called Myers, which only exists in certain states in the country. I think Michigan is one of them, and so to get those sets was very difficult, and they were very cool sets. They came with a reproduction Adventure Team G.I. Joe and a bunch of gear to sort of make it into sort of a full kind of adventure, and they were very cool. There were only 2 of them, and they were exclusive to Myers. So yeah, kind of tough to get. I had to get the help of a fellow collector to actually get those Myers sets, because Myers stores don't really exist in my particular state. So I was able to sort of collaborate and get somebody to do a swap and send me these sets. So really fantastic, and they've got the artwork of other Adventure Team sets on the sides of the box. Obviously, this is the Kung Fu grip version of the Land Adventure, and the figure itself is sort of a mishmash of parts. I know I say mishmash. I meant to say mishmash, but yeah, I mean a mixture of parts from various sources. The uniform you see here, I think, is probably one of the ones that came with the Walmart exclusive Land Adventure, or it might have come with the Meyer set, I don't recall for sure. And then the shoulder holster and pistol, I think, is from the Collectors Club. This rifle is also from the Collectors Club. They actually sold a set of, I think it was three of the hunting rifles that you could buy through the club to sort of outfit your Kung Fu grip adventurers. So one of the cool things about the Collectors Club, in addition to selling full kind of sets, reproductions of these G.I. Joes, they also had these sort of repair kits. So you could get Adventure Team shoulder holsters and things like that. They also sold packets of helmets. So like they did the medic helmet in like a 4-pack, which was very cool. And I believe they did all of the standard helmets. So that was a very cool thing that they did. They had a lot of really interesting products offered through the Collectors Club. Originally, when these were sold, each one of them came with a hunting rifle. But when they sold them through the Walmart exclusive sets, they didn't come with rifles. So you kind of had to add them in as you saw fit. So I've given him a metal dog tag. I think this was from one of the Timeless Collection Adventure Team sets. And I've also added in the belt, the canteen, these grenades, this little pouch as well. So added in some extra features for this landed. So I think a lot of those added items are from the 40th anniversary sets, although some of them may be timeless collection. I know those grenades are actually not Hasbro at all, but in terms of the proportions, they're kind of similar in size to the vintage style grenades. So I thought it was kind of cool that I was able to get some ones that looked kind of black and kind of blended in with his outfit. So pretty cool. Adventure. And again, got the flocked head. This head, I believe, was issued by the G.I. Joe Collectors Club. This is one of the extra heads that they actually sent out to people who had purchased the Club Commander set. They felt like the first issue of it was somewhat flawed. I didn't really see too many problems with it, but they... So I lucked out with my Adventure Team Commander reproduction. Mine didn't have the flaws that they had talked about. I think the flocking was a little thin, and I think there maybe been some eyebrow rubs or something like that. I guess some of them turned out much worse than mine did. Mine looked, pretty good. So, but then they were sending out extra heads to sort of replace the ones that they deemed to be defective, and everybody got an extra one, so that was cool. They went ahead and sent everyone an extra head, so that was kind of cool. So you actually were able to create either an extra commander or an extra land adventurer when you purchased that set. So pretty cool figure. Again, very reminiscent of one of the G.I. Joes that was part of my family's collection. This one I think was my older brother's favorite one. So yeah, it's a very cool figure. Next figure we're going to look at is the Air Adventurer, and once again we're going to look at the box. I think this is the version that came with the Myers exclusive set. So in terms of artwork, I'd say probably of the Adventure Team boxes that I have, this one is probably the weakest in terms of the overall look of the painting. I still love it, but yeah, it just doesn't quite have the kind of punch as some of the other Kung Fu Grip boxes. As well, because I don't see a barcode on this, so it's a little bit different from the ones that came with the Walmart sets. So same pictures are on the sides of this one as on the... So all of these boxes, including all the Walmart exclusive ones, all have those same images on the sides of the box. And it's kind of funny because I think only 2 of the sets that are depicted in that artwork were actually recreated as Timeless Collection reproduction sets. The Land Adventurer box, and once again this is the Kung Fu Grip version of the figure, and I've actually customized this figure quite a bit. So I believe the body is from a Timeless Collection G.I. Joe with Kung Fu Grip, and then the head on this figure is actually from one of the 40th anniversary Action Man sets. So there was an Adventurer set that had blonde hair, so I was able to use the head sculpt from that to create my Air Adventure. So the reason that I swapped the head onto a Timeless Collection body is the original Action Man 40th anniversary body that figure came with. The hands and the feet have a tendency to fall off. The joints are very loose on it, so I may see if I can repair that somehow. But I'm have other plans for that particular figure. So I decided to just swap the head onto a different figure altogether for my Air Adventurer. Giving him a metal dog tag, and this pistol is again from the Collectors Club, and also the rifle is also a Collectors Club item, just like the one that I have on my Land Adventurer. So again, really cool figure, and I don't recall if I had one of these growing up. I definitely didn't have one of these growing up. I believe I remember seeing pictures of it on the artwork, the boxes, that there was an Air Adventurer with blonde hair, but I'm almost positive myself and my brothers did not have this particular figure. But I'm very happy to have it now in my collection. So another cool member of the Adventure Team. All right, next figure we're going to look at is the Man of Action. And the box that I have for this one is from the Walmart exclusive figures. Again, similar pictures on the sides of the box and really cool artwork on the front. Again, this is the Kung Fu Grip version of this. And you can tell the Walmart versions of these boxes because they all have a barcode on the bottom. So the only version of the Man of Action with Kung Fu Grip is the Walmart version. the version that was issued through the Collectors Club was the Hard Hands version, and they also did a reproduction of the original Man of Action box, which I never picked up, unfortunately. I really wish I had more resources to actually afford to buy all of the sets that were being put out by the Collectors Club, but sadly I didn't. If it doesn't have a barcode, it means that it came in one of the larger sets. So very cool looking box. Really love the artwork on that. And then on the figure itself, the uniform is from the Walmart set, and the dog tag, I believe, is from that set as well. But in terms of the figure, it's mishmashed together from several different sources. I think the body on this one might be one of the Collectors Club figures that came with Kung Fu Grip, and this head sculpt is definitely from the Collectors Club as well. So they had issued a Man of Action. So that Man of Action, I believe, was the club membership figure. So I think that got sent out to everybody as part of your membership. And it just came with minimal clothing, like a t-shirt and shorts. And so a really cool figure, but it was a hard hands figure. So I swapped it onto one that had the Kung Fu Grip. And I used the Walmart version of the Man of Action for a different project through the club. And also I got this rifle through the club. The pistol is also club issue. And the belt I added, I think this is from either Cotswold Collectibles or it's a 40th anniversary item. Not sure entirely which belt. Just a little background, Cotswold Collectibles is a store, online store stationed in Texas. And they offer all kinds of fantastic products for 12-inch G.I. Joe collectors. So I get a lot of accessories and stuff from them pretty often. Also some full sets. I don't know if you've been watching my channel, but I actually reviewed one of the Falcone figures from Brazil, which I ordered from Cotswold Collectibles. So really, they have some just incredible stuff in their store. That is. But looks great. Very cool to have the Man of Action in my collection. And this is one of the ones that doesn't have a beard, so kind of interesting. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is the African-American version of the Adventurer. And as you can see, this is the reproduction that was done through the Collectors Club. So they reproduced the imagery on the original. Another really fantastic reproduction box from the Collectors Club. Again, they were just knocking it out of the park in terms of some of their reproduction sets. Original box, and it says 35 years of adventure on here. On the sides of the box, you can see pictures of other Collectors Club sets. So very cool looking box. I'm very happy to have that. And then the figure itself, I've customized it a little bit. I actually swapped out the uniform that came with it with one from the Walmart Adventurers. I needed to use that other uniform for a different project. So the different project is still a project that's in the works. The main reason I wanted that uniform for a different project is that the adventure team sort of logo on the shirt was actually, you could peel it off, whereas on the Walmart Adventure version you couldn't. So I removed that emblem, and I'm basically hoping to use that uniform to do a version of the soldier that's all done in like tan fatigues, sort of the counterpart to the traditional soldier that's all in like a khaki green, but I want to do sort of a desert kind of patrol version of a soldier. So that uniform is quite good for that. And I added in this belt I got from Cotswold Collectibles. So very cool looking figure, and as you can see, unique head sculpt. They actually created this specifically when they created the adventure team. So a brand new head sculpt that was quite unique for the 1970s. And on the metal dog tag, you can see 35 years of adventure is imprinted on there. So very cool looking figure. Very happy to have this one in my collection. I really like that African-American head sculpt that they did for the 1970s version of G.I. Joe. Very cool. And it made him completely unique from the rest of the team. So awesome. And so yeah, basically they used that head sculpt for this figure and also for the African-American version of the commander, adventure team commander. Okay, so the next figure we're going to talk about is the Talking Adventure Team Commander. And again, this was issued by the G.I. Joe Collectors Club as a reproduction, and they reproduced the original artwork on the box. Love this box art, where you see G.I. Joe kind of shouting, and overlaid on top of that are images of various adventures. So very cool artwork. So that looks very cool. And on the sides of the box, you can see other sets that were offered through the club. And they also did the inserts on the inside of the box too. So you can see where they list off all the various phrases that this Talking Commander says. So on the original Talking Commander, it was like a pull string that you had to pull all the way out. And they kind of tried to reproduce that when they did these reproductions. But the pull cord often it would malfunction and it would get loose or whatever. But you could kind of cut the cord shorter and then readapt it so that you only had to pull out a small distance in order to make the voices say their phrases. Because these modern versions of the talkers are electronic; they run on batteries, and so yeah. So, and I don't keep the batteries in this on a regular basis just because I'm worried about them possibly corroding the inside of the figure. So I'm going to go ahead and play the phrases for you based on my initial review of this figure. So we'll go ahead and play that clip. So this clip right here, this is really Inception. This is me watching one of my videos, watching another one of my videos. So yeah, it's funny. I'm not an egomaniac, by the way. I'm just trying to present this in the most reasonable fashion for you in terms of presentation. So in this video, this is a clip out of my original review of the Adventure Team Commander. And at this point, I had the batteries in the figure, so I was able to pull the cord and play the various phrases. So that's why I'm including this, because I want you to be able to hear what the voice sounds like. So let's see if this comes through.
I've got a tough assignment for you. This is going to be rough. Can you handle it? We must get there before dark. Follow me. The adventure team has the situation controlled. Set up team headquarters here. Contact adventure team headquarters right away. The adventure team is needed in Africa. Mission accomplished. Good work, men.
So those are the various phrases that are spoken. And in terms of the figure, I think they did a fantastic job in terms of, the flocking on the head and also the uniform on this. As you can see on the dog tag, it says 30 years of adventure, and this is a metal dog tag like a lot of the other club issues. And comes with the shoulder holster and the weapon, and really great version of this uniform. And this uniform is very derivative of the original Green Beret uniform. It's a little bit darker in color, but in terms of the tailoring and everything, it's quite similar to that. It should be noted that the Collectors Club also did a sort of accessory set, window kind of box set that had the Green Beret uniform in it. And also, it was like a full set. It had all the Green Beret stuff, including the bazooka. So that was a very cool set, and I definitely ordered that, and I outfitted one of my Green Berets with some of the pieces from that original Green Beret. So fantastic figure, and very happy to have this one in my collection. And I also have the African American variant of the Commander figure as well. So this figure was one of the ones that was sent out as a membership figure. Again, came with minimal clothing, just a shirt and some shorts. And then in order to complete the figure, you needed to order the accessory set. This one was again issued by the G.I. Joe Collectors Club, and you can see on the dog tag 35 years of adventure. So this one was issued quite a bit after the initial release of the Commander. And they sold a separate accessory set which included the box and the uniform. I didn't end up picking that up. I couldn't justify the cost at the time. So I have him outfitted with an original Green Beret uniform, which I actually sort of restored a little bit using some dye. And then I used some pants, which I sort of painted to kind of match the color. The match isn't perfect, so I may end up sort of replacing this. So I used fabric paint over top of a pair of sort of the khaki pants that came with one of my soldier figures, 40th anniversary soldier figures. And I still need to work on it. I think if I add another layer of tone over top of it, I can kind of get it close to the color of the jacket. But again, it's not a perfect match, probably never will be. So I may end up replacing this uniform altogether. I know Cotswold Collectibles currently has a reproduction of the Green Beret uniform, which would work quite well for the commander. Or I guess it's technically a commander uniform, but they have the jacket and the pants. And I'm almost positive the tailoring on their version is very close to vintage. So I may end up just ordering one of those and then re-outfitting this figure with new jacket and pants. Whole uniform at some point, but it's good enough for now. And he kind of looks the part. And again, I have the shoulder holster with the pistol from the G.I. Joe Collectors Club as well. And I think this version looks very cool. Again, it's the same head sculpt as the African American Adventurer, only this time they gave him a beard. So this one's pretty cool. Again, the bearded version of the African American head sculpt is definitely one of my favorites. Just looks so cool. Very cool looking figure, and definitely one of my favorites that I have in my collection. One last figure that I want to show you of my core Adventure Team members is the Astronaut figure. So I don't have a corresponding box for this one. I do have the original G.I. Joe Club Astronaut figure. So the Astronaut figure I've reviewed on my channel before. It's in a video with a couple other astronaut figures, and I do play the various phrases of the talking astronaut. So that video is on my channel if you want to check it out, which is where this hat comes from. But all the rest of this I've actually assembled using bits and pieces from various sources. So the head on this figure is actually from an Action Man Sportsman figure, and I put it on a Timeless Collection body with heart. Again, I did the head swap on this one because that original Action Man body had the same issues as the Adventurer figure. Both the hands and the feet had a tendency to come loose. They didn't hold tightly into the figure. So I decided to swap this over onto a Timeless Collection figure. Hands. I gave him a white shoulder holster. I think this one is one of the ones that was issued by the G.I. Joe Collectors Club. That's definitely issued by the club. I'm almost positive that white shoulder holster came with the Arctic Adventure accessory set, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I think that one's quite unique. It's actually a very, very bright white too, so very cool shoulder holster. I gave him a dog tag, and this jumpsuit was actually issued by Cotswold Collectibles, and they have one with pockets on it, which is very nice. They have a version without the pockets too, which is much closer to the look of the original Astronaut. So they offer several different versions of the white jumpsuit. And the boots on this are also from Cotswold Collectibles as well. And I think the white belt is actually 40th anniversary. So yeah, I sort of hobbled this thing together, but I think it kind of looks the part, and it doesn't have the talking mechanism either. This is just a standard G.I. Joe. Eventually I'd like to get a talking astronaut that has the sort of blonde hair on it, so I could have it be kind of true to the original. But in terms of just having a Adventure Team member who's an astronaut, I think this guy works just fine for now. So that is the full range of all the core members of the Adventure Team that I have in my collection. And I'm very pleased with how this collection has turned out. I think everything is looking pretty good. There's a few things I'd like to change, maybe add a few accessories to these figures, but for the most part, I think they're fairly complete. And hope you enjoyed this. Yeah, so that's the video, and that pretty much covers the basics on my collection of the standard G.I. Joes. Again, I have quite a few more in my collection because I bought multiples of a number of the Walmart reproduction Adventure Team figures. So I have a whole bunch of the African American Adventurer, a bunch of the Land Adventurers, and yeah, so I've re-outfitted those with various accessories and uniforms and so forth. And you've probably seen some of the reviews of those figures on my channel. So they're all still available if you want to check out those videos. So that's going to pretty much do it for this first episode of the podcast. I hope you guys like this kind of format. Again, I'm going to do quite a few more of these. And if you guys really like it, make sure you click the like button. And also go ahead and get into the comments and give me some feedback in terms of what kinds of things you'd like to see me do on the podcast. Like I said, the next one is probably going to be a Halloween special. My plan, at least tentatively, is to review some more of the Mego monsters that I have in my collection. I released a video a while back showing all the Mego monsters that I had, but it's been a while since that video came out. That was last Halloween. So I have a lot more of them in my collection that I can actually highlight in the podcast. So I may make a video and do it similar to the way I did this particular video, and have a nice little Halloween special, which I think you guys will enjoy. There's other things that I want to do with the podcast, including reviewing various TV series, movies, things like that. I think this format is well suited to that because I can actually do more stream of consciousness kind of discussion, and eventually we may do something where we have guests on the show. There's all kinds of possibilities in terms of doing it this way. I'm a big fan of podcasts, so I watch quite a few of them every week. So I'm excited to launch my own, and I really hope you guys like it. It's something I'm planning on doing quite a bit more of on my channel. And that's going to be it for this podcast. Thanks for watching.